is it. It's a very simple piece of code, very short, only about 90 lines. And I think that if people just dig through here, I would ignore initially this function, but you'll see that each of these is very simple. For example, insert says, look at the unused bag, how many objects are in it, take that count plus 1 and add the object to that position. So it's a numerically indexed table. So every time you add something, it's put it at position 1, put it at position 2, so on and so forth. Shuffling is, let's see. Okay, yeah, so when you shuffle, it's got a little safety feature here. First it says, if you're shuffling, I assume that you want to shuffle the entire contents of the bag. So the first thing it does is it says, are there any cards in the unused bag? Did you already select some cards out? And if you did, put them back in the bag first. So it goes through the unused bag, and if there's anything there, it puts them back into the used bag. And then it calls the shuffle table function on that and clears the used bag. So it starts off with a fresh used bag. And at that point, the cards are all in the unused bag, and they are in some random order. And then finally, get. Get is fairly simple. It checks to see if there is nothing in the used bag and nothing in the unused bag, in which case you have not added anything yet. It's a safety feature. And so that's the only time when it will return nil. In other words, you never put anything in the bag, I have nothing to give you. But assuming that you have put something in the bag, the next thing it's going to do is say, is the unused bag filled? In other words, maybe you put something in, but you took them all out already. So you already called get on the 4th card. There are no cards left. Shuffle. And because shuffle has this little safety feature, it says, oh, take all the unused objects and put them back into the used bag and shuffle that around. So now we have never put anything in, have already taken everything out, but assuming that neither of these pieces trips, we simply select the next value out of the used bag, the unused bag, put it in the used bag, because now we're going to give it away, clear it, and then return it. So just in a nutshell, you create a table inside of this structure, you fill it up with objects, you randomize that table. At that point, you never randomize the order again until the next time you shuffle. And then you just start picking out the first element. Give me the first or the last. What do I do? I do the last. So pick out the last object. So pick out object 4. Pick out object 3. Pick out object 1. I'm all done. So if I try to pick again, fill the bag up, shuffle it again, pick out object 4, pick out object 3, and so on and so forth. That is basically it. So how can I summarize this for folks? If you're creating a game where you need to create a random sequence, but you want that sequence to contain a certain number of elements, a fixed number of each element, the best way to do it is with a shuffle bag. Also, if you want to ensure that you get a random sequence and you do not get repeats until you've run out of elements within your sequence, a shuffle bag is the way to go. I think that's it.
Very well said. All right. Well, thank you very much. I think that's good. I vaguely remember seeing something like this. I can't remember the name of the developer, but he did a card shuffling, a poker kind of card shuffling algorithm, and I have not been able to find that because I think he took it down or whatever, and so having something like this in your toolbox is a good thing. So go ahead and download the code. We'll have it in the show notes. And then you can always revert to it later. You might not have a need for it now, but you might later, and it's good to have. And I think the concepts are general enough that even if the SDK changes later, you'd still be able to look at the code and figure out what's going on and just reapply it to whatever you're trying to do. So
I think so also.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I want to remind everybody that this is for people who are watching this recorded video later, that we are going to be changing our format here on the show. We're going to go a little more behind the scenes, rough, raw sort of format. I probably will start introing the shows just as I did before, but what we're going to do is we're not going to worry about so much making it one smooth show, right, where it's a produced show here. This is going to be the live part, which means we're going to have starts and stops and technical bits and behind the scene issues and stuff like that. And then when I go to clean everything up for the clips, then we'll put nice, pretty graphics on everything and stuff like that. So everybody is welcome to come Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific to hang out here and talk and ask questions and do things, and then we'll chop that up and put it out as nice, pretty little clips after it's all over. So I think it's an evolving process. We're gonna work on it. We're also gonna start doing some. Yeah, it's a little bit of a.
Get better at that.
Yeah, we're moving into a new space here. We're trying to mix up the format a little bit, and I think what that'll do is if we just jump right into the show. We can even experiment with putting announcements and stuff. Like I can put in announcements and stuff later. I don't know. We can kind of experiment with that. That way, when you guys show up, we can talk just about the nuts and bolts of things, and then I can always spend the time to attach things later. Does that make sense? That way, we would just have more raw time to talk. Okay. All right. Well, I am going to close it out and say thank you for being here. We'll be back here next Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific. Look for some backdrop there. I will try to bring that in and get it all set up, and we'll have a little more of a studio here. Maybe cut out some of the room echo. And I was trying to get some visual interest on the street, but that doesn't work lighting-wise. So anyway, we'll be back here next Monday to talk all about Corona SDK. Thanks for joining us.
Tschüss.